This happened during my second year of college, when I was living off campus, in a small studio apartment, just a few blocks from the university. It wasn't much, creaky floors, thin walls, and a draft that never seemed to go away, but it was mine. I liked the solitude. I liked the quiet. One night, walking home from a late shift at the campus cafe, I passed a pile of junk left out on the curb. Old furniture, broken lamps, a few boxes of books, and leaning against the side of the dumpster was a mirror. It was tall, maybe 5 feet, with a thick wooden frame that looked hand-carved. There were strange little symbols etched into the corners, nothing I recognized, but they gave it a kind of character. I don't know why I stopped. I don't know why I took it. I just remember thinking it didn't belong there. I carried it home, wiped off the dust, and propped it against the wall across from my bed. It made the room feel bigger. I didn't think about it again until the next night. I was getting ready for bed, brushing my hair, when I noticed something strange. In the mirror, my reflection was slightly off. Not wrong, exactly, just delayed, like it was reacting a split second too late. I waved my hand. It waved back, but there was a lag. I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes, tried again. This time, it was normal. I chalked it up to being tired. But over the next few days, the mirror started showing me things that hadn't happened yet. It started small. I'd glance at it and see myself turning off the lamp before I actually reached for the switch. Or I'd see my phone light up with a message before it buzzed in my hand. It was always just a few seconds ahead, like a preview. Then, it got worse. One night, I was sitting on my bed, scrolling through my phone, when I looked up and saw myself in the mirror standing. I was standing near the door, staring at it like I was waiting for someone. But in real life, I was still sitting. I watched the reflection for a long time. It didn't move. It just stood there, tense, like something was about to happen. I didn't sleep that night. The next evening, I saw something that made my blood run cold. I was brushing my teeth, and in the mirror, I saw myself backing away from the bathroom door. My face was pale. My eyes were wide. And then I saw it's something behind me, just a shadow, just a flicker, but it was there. I spun around. Nothing. The door was closed. The hallway was empty. I started keeping the mirror covered during the day, but every morning, the blanket would be on the floor. I tried moving it to the closet. It was back in its spot the next time I came home. I asked my landlord if anyone had keys to my unit. He said no. I changed the locks anyway. Then came the night I saw myself bleeding. It was late. I'd just turned off the lights and crawled into bed. I glanced at the mirror out of habit and froze. My reflection was sitting up, clutching her arm. There was blood. Not a lot, but enough. Her face was twisted in pain. She looked toward the window, then back at me. And then she mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I knew what she said. Run. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stared. And then the lights flickered. Just once, just enough to make me jump. I grabbed my phone and left the apartment. I didn't go back until morning. When I did, everything was normal. No blood, no signs of a break-in. But the mirror was still there, waiting. I tried to get rid of it, took it to the dumpster, left it there, walked away. But the next day, it was back, leaning against the wall. Same spot, same angle. I stopped looking at it. I stopped sleeping. I started hearing things, soft knocks at the window, footsteps in the hallway, whispers I couldn't quite make out. I told myself it was stress. I told myself it was in my head, until the mirror showed me something I couldn't ignore. It was me, lying on the floor, eyes open, mouth slightly parted. Still, I stared at that image for what felt like hours. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I just watched. And then the reflection blinked. I haven't looked at the mirror since, but I still feel it watching me. And sometimes, when I pass a window or glance at my phone screen, I catch a glimpse of something, just for a second, just enough to know it's still showing me what's coming, and I don't think I'll like how it ends.
This happened last winter, just after we moved into a new house in upstate New York. It was an old colonial-style place, the kind with narrow staircases, creaky floorboards, and a basement that smelled like wet stone. My husband and I were excited to finally have space for our daughter, Lily, to grow up in. She was 5 at the time, bright, imaginative, and obsessed with stuffed animals. The toy in question was a birthday gift from her aunt, a soft, oversized plush bear with a voice box inside. You pressed its paw, and it would say things like, "I love you," or "Let's play," basic stuff. Lily named it Mr. Berry and carried it everywhere. She even insisted it sleep next to her pillow. The first time I noticed something strange, it was subtle. I was cleaning up her room one afternoon while she was at school. I pressed the bear's paw by accident, and it said, "The basement door is open." I froze. That wasn't one of its program phrases. I checked the door, it was closed. I figured maybe I misheard it. Maybe it said something like, "Let's go exploring," and my brain twisted it. I didn't think much of it, but then it happened again. That night, Lily was playing in her room while I folded laundry in the hallway. I heard the bear say, "There's someone in the attic." I walked in and asked her what it said. She shrugged and said, "Mr. Berry's being silly." I checked the attic, empty. Over the next few days, the phrases got more specific, more disturbing. One morning, I heard it say, "The man in the blue coat is watching from the window." I looked outside. No one was there. But the way it said it, slow, almost like a whisper, made my skin crawl. I asked Lily where she got the bear. She said Aunt Jenna bought it online. I called Jenna. She said it was from a popular toy store, nothing custom, nothing unusual. I checked the tag. It was a standard model. Then came the night it said my grandfather's brother name. I was tucking Lily in. She pressed the bear's paw and it said, "Harold used to sleep in this room." I felt my stomach drop. Harold was my grandfather's brother. He died in this house when I was a teenager. He had a heart attack in the upstairs bedroom. This bedroom. We'd moved away after that, and I hadn't told Lily anything about him. There was no way she could know. I asked her if she'd ever heard that name before. She shook her head and said, "Mr. Berry just knows things." I took the bear downstairs and opened it up. The voice box was sealed, no signs of tampering. I even looked up the model online. There were only 5 pre-programmed phrases listed. None of what I'd heard was on there. I decided to record it. The next day, I left my phone in Lily's room while she played. I captured 3 phrases. "The woman in the mirror isn't mommy." "The basement smells like sadness." "Don't go near the crawl space, he's still hungry." I played the recording for my husband. He thought it was a prank. Said maybe Lily was pressing the paw and speaking herself. But the voice was too deep, too slow. It didn't sound like her. That night, I locked the bear in the hall closet. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to Lily screaming. I ran to her room. She was sitting up in bed, pointing at the mirror. She said, "Mr. Berry was talking again. He said, 'You're not you.'" I checked the closet. The bear was gone. We found it the next morning, sitting on the attic steps. I don't know how it got there. I don't know how it knew about Harold, or the crawl space, or the mirror. We got rid of it. Burned it, actually. I didn't want it ending up in someone else's house. But sometimes, late at night, Lily still talks to it. She'll whisper things like, "Not now," or "I told you to be quiet." And once, I swear I heard a voice whisper back. It wasn't hers, and it wasn't mine.
I moved into the apartment in late October, just as the weather began to turn, and the trees outside my window shed their last leaves. It was a modest third-floor unit in an old building near the edge of campus, the kind of place with warped floorboards, radiators that hissed like they were alive, and a lingering smell of dust that never quite faded. I didn't mind the quirks. I liked the solitude, and the rent was low enough to make me overlook the occasional creak or groan in the walls. The lamp was something I'd brought from home, a ceramic base shaped like a tree trunk, with a faded green shade that had once belonged to my grandmother. It had always worked fine, and I liked the soft, warm glow it gave off at night. I kept it on the table beside my bed, right next to the window, where it had sat undisturbed for years. The first time I noticed anything strange, I was half asleep. I remember waking up to a brief flash of light, just a flicker, like someone had turned the lamp on and off quickly. I sat up confused and looked at the cord. It was unplugged. I had disconnected it earlier that day to vacuum the rug beneath the table. I stared at it for a moment, then lay back down, telling myself I must have imagined it. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. 3:17 a.m. This time, I was wide awake. I had stayed up late reading, and just as I turned off the overhead light and settled into bed, the lamp flickered once, then again, and then glowed steadily. The light was soft but unmistakable, casting a pale green hue across the room. I sat up slowly, my heart beginning to pound, and stared at the cord. It was still unplugged. I hadn't touched it. And then I saw the shadow. It stretched across the wall behind me, tall and unmoving. It wasn't mine. I was sitting down, and this figure was clearly standing. The shoulders were hunched, the head tilted slightly to one side, as if it were watching me. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stared at the wall until the light blinked out and the room was swallowed by darkness once again. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next few days, I tried to ignore it. I kept the lamp unplugged, moved it to the closet, even considered throwing it out. But every night at exactly 3:17, the light would flicker to life. And every time, the shadow would appear, just for a moment, always behind me, always still. I started keeping my phone next to me, hoping to record it. But the videos never showed anything, just dark. It was as if the lamp knew when it was being watched. I told my friend Marissa about it. She came over one evening and agreed to stay the night. I didn't tell her the exact time it happened. I wanted to see if she noticed anything on her own. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up to her whispering my name. She was sitting up in bed, her eyes wide and fixed on the wall across from us. She said, in a voice that barely sounded like her own, "There's someone standing behind you." I turned slowly, but there was nothing there. The lamp was glowing softly, casting its usual green light across the room. Still unplugged. We didn't sleep after that. Marissa left the next morning and didn't come back. She stopped answering my texts, and when I called, it went straight to voicemail. I started researching the building. It used to be a boarding house in the 1940s. There was a fire in 1952. 3rd floor, 1 fatality. A man named Walter Griggs. He died in the room next to mine. Smoke inhalation. No foul play. But something about the name stuck with me. That night I said the name Walter out loud, just once, just to see what would happen. The lamp flickered immediately. The light stayed on longer than usual. And the shadow, it moved. It didn't walk. It didn't shift. It just leaned forward, closer to me, as if it had been waiting for acknowledgement. I felt the air grow cold around me, and my breath caught in my throat. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. I just sat there, frozen, until the light blinked out and the room returned to silence. I started sleeping with the overhead light on. I unplugged the lamp and locked it in the hallway closet. I even taped the plug to the base so it couldn't be used. But the flickering didn't stop. Every night at 3:17, the light would pulse through the closet door. The shadow would stretch across the floor, reaching toward my bed. And I would lie there, staring at the ceiling, waiting for it to pass. One night, I woke up early. 3:10. I sat up and stared at the closet door, heart pounding in anticipation. At 3:17, the light came on, but this time the door creaked open, just a few inches, enough to see the lamp glowing inside, enough to see the shadow step out. I didn't scream. I couldn't. It stood at the foot of my bed, unmoving. The light behind it flickered once, then held steady. And then it spoke. Not out loud, not in words. But I felt it, deep in my chest, in the back of my mind, like a thought that wasn't mine. It said, "You let me in." The light went out. I moved out 2 weeks later, left everything behind, including the lamp. But sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I check the time. And when it's 3:17, I swear I see a flicker. Just for a moment. Just enough to cast a shadow.